Let us continue with the study of zero order reactions. In case of the zero order reaction, we have studied the kinetic equation, that is K is equal to X by T. K is equal to X by T. Here the unit for this one is mole per liter per unit time. Now let us see some important points regarding the zero order reaction. So we have this term called as half-life period. Half-life period. This is the time required for half change in initial concentration of reactant. Half change in initial concentration of a reactant. Suppose you consider this reaction A giving rise to some products. Then if A is the initial concentration, and when at a particular time interval X is the amount of reactant converted to product. But when T becomes T half, that is half-life or half-life period, then T is equal to T half, then X will become equal to half of the initial concentration. Substitute T is equal to T half and X is equal to A by 2 in this expression. K is equal to X is A by 2 and T becomes T half. Therefore T half, that is half-life period, will be equal to T half is equal to A by 2K. T half comes to numerator on the left hand side, A by 2K. K is a constant. Therefore, at constant temperature, since K is a constant, T half is directly proportional to initial concentration. That is, as the initial concentration increases, half-life period also increases. Suppose I start with 1 molar. Let's say half-life period is 10 minutes. If I increase the concentration 2 molar, then it will become 20 minutes. So similarly, on increasing the initial concentration, the half-life period also increases. And if you consider this expression, mole per liter per unit time, this is one important information. The second information is T half is directly proportional to initial concentration. The third important point is rate of a reaction for a zero order reaction is independent of initial concentration. So if you consider these informations, then we can represent a zero order reaction by using the various graphs. Let us say the graphical representations. The graphs. First one is when you draw the graph of concentration of the reactant with respect to time. As the time increases, the concentration of the reactant gradually decreases in a linear manner. So the slope of this is equal to minus K. Slope is a -1, therefore it is minus K. Because we know the graph of X versus T. When you draw X versus T, it is nothing but K is a slope. Here actually this straight line has got the negative slope, that's why we are having minus K. The second one is, if you draw the graph of concentration of the product, it is indicated as X and the time is T on the x-axis. Then we know that initially it is having zero concentration but as the time increases, it also increases linearly. The slope is nothing but k. Then let us write the graph of rate of the reaction versus rate of the reaction versus concentration of reactant. Then whatever may be the concentration of the reactant, it is a zero order reaction, therefore rate remains constant. That's why we have a parallel line to the concentration axis. Then if you consider this half-life T half versus concentration. As the concentration increases, half-life also increases. Therefore, we have this graph like this. Since mole per liter per unit time is the unit, T half is directly proportional to A, and the rate is independent of initial concentration, we can use various graphs to indicate the zero order reaction. Now let us consider the next topic, first order reaction. First order reaction. In case of the first order reaction, we can derive the expression for the rate constant. Consider a first order reaction, A giving rise to first order reaction. Consider a reaction A giving rise to some product, that is B. Let us say initial concentration of this reactant is A. At time t, concentration of reactant reacted. Concentration of the reactant reacted, Bx. Then at time t, concentration of A is equal to A minus X. Now we know for a first order reaction dx by dt is proportional to concentration of A to the power 1, since it is a first order reaction. Or we can write this as dx by dt is equal to k into concentration of A, where k is the velocity constant. Now let us substitute the value of A is equal to A minus X in this equation. We have got this dx by dt is equal to k into A minus X. Let us say this is equation 1 and this one is 2. In this equation 2 there are two variables. That is, one is the time variable. As the time changes, the other variable is concentration. So we have to separate these variables. Dx by A minus X is equal to k into dt. Let us say this is equation number 3. Now you consider integration of this equation 3. Integration. In the mathematics, there are two types of integrations. One is called definite integration, the other one indefinite integration. Definite integration has got the limits, but we are doing only indefinite integration, that is dx by A minus X is equal to k into dt integration. If you substitute lower and upper limits in both the cases, then we will be having definite integration. But we are doing indefinite integration. So this dx by A minus X will be having, on integration will give rise to ln A minus X multiplied with minus sign. So in integration chapter you will learn 1 by A minus X with respect to dx is equal to minus ln A minus X. On the right hand side we have got integration of k dt is equal to kt. Since we are doing indefinite integration, we have to substitute some constant, that is called integration constant. Integration constant. To find out the value of integration constant, substitute T is equal to 0. That is, when we start the reaction, initially the amount of reactant converted to product is 0. That means X will become equal to 0. If you substitute these two conditions in this equation, say equation number 4, then X becomes 0, therefore it is minus ln A. So minus ln A. On the right hand side we have got C. Because T is equal to 0, K into 0 is 0, therefore C is equal to minus ln A. Again substitute the value of C is equal to minus ln A in this equation. So we will get minus ln A minus X is equal to Kt minus ln A. Here ln stands for logarithm to the base e. These are called as the natural logarithms. So logarithm to the base e. When we take this logarithm to the base e, bring this ln A to the other side, we get Kt is equal to ln A minus ln A minus X. Kt is equal to ln A minus ln X. In the logarithm chapter, you know log A minus log B. That is equal to log of A by B. So we have got this ln A by A minus X. When we take this K is equal to, it becomes 1 by T ln A by A minus X. A by A minus X. Then convert this to logarithm to the base 10. We have one thing, ln logarithm to the base e, as I told you. When you convert this to logarithm to the base 10, you have to multiply with 2.303. This conversion factor you know from the logarithm table. So I am converting this to logarithm to the base 10. Therefore K is equal to 2.303 divided by T log. When we write only simple log, it is nothing but logarithm to the base 10. It is A by A minus X. This is the expression that we call it as the velocity constant expression for the first order reaction. Now let us see the unit for this K in this equation. Unit of K. Let me write this equation as the fifth one. In the equation 5, we know there is a concentration term in the numerator as well as in the denominator. Concentration term gets cancelled. Therefore, we have time unit in the denominator. Therefore, K is expressed in terms of per unit time. If time is expressed in seconds, it is per second. If time is expressed in minutes, it is per minute. So like that we have to write the unit for the K. We have to use one information here. When K is expressed as per unit time, it is a first order reaction. Just recall, for a zero order reaction, K is expressed in terms of mole per liter per unit time. When K is expressed as mole per liter per unit time, it is a zero order reaction. When K is expressed as only per unit time, then it is a first order reaction. So that is an important information to determine the order of the reaction. Now let us go for again the half-life period of a first order reaction. When we consider this rate expression for the first order reaction, K is equal to 2.303 by T log A by A minus X. Then we can substitute the half-life conditions. Log A by A minus X. This is from equation 5. To calculate the relationship between half-life and the initial concentration, substitute T is equal to T half and X is equal to A by 2. At this half-life period, the concentration of the reactant converted to product will become half of the initial concentration. Then we have this K is equal to 2.303 divided by t half log of a divided by a minus a by 2. This a minus a by 2 is nothing but a by 2. So we can write this as 2.303 by t half log a by 2. This a by 2 is nothing but equal to log 2. Log 2 is nothing but 0.3010. So we have this 2.303 into 0.3010 divided by t half. Or if you rewrite this one, you will be getting k is equal, t half is equal to 2.303 into 0.301 divided by k we have. Product of these two is 0.693 divided by k. Since k is a constant at constant temperature, this half-life is a constant. That is, half-life is a constant for a first order reaction. That is, t half is independent of initial concentration. So this is the result that we get from the derivation of half-life from this k is equal to 2.303 by t log a by a minus x. So let me explain what is meant by this independent of initial concentration. Okay, when we consider this half-life period of a first order reaction which is independent of initial concentration, let us consider a first order reaction. We start with a particular concentration. Say for example, we are having a reaction giving rise to some products if it is following the first order reaction. Let me start with 10 molar concentration of A. If this is changed to 5 molar, assume that the 20 minutes time is required for this change. Then from 5 molar to 2.5 molar, again same time is required, that is 20 minutes. Again when 2.5 molar to 1.25 molar the concentration changes, then again we have the same time, that is 20 minutes. For every half change, the concentration, for half change in concentration, the time required will be remaining constant. There will be one question based on this one. For a first order reaction, if half-life of a reaction is 22 minutes, what is the time required for 3/4 change? This will be the usual question that is expected. 3/4 change means when you change this from 10 molar to 5 molar, it is 50% conversion. From 5 molar to 2.5 molar, it is again 50% of this 5 molar. It is actually 25% of the original concentration. So 50 plus 25 corresponds to 75%. That is 75%, which is nothing but T3/4. So T3/4 is equal to 2 times the T half. Suppose you take a first order reaction like hydrolysis of methyl acetate, the inversion of the cane sugar, etc. Assume that for such a reaction, time for 50% conversion is 24 minutes. What will be the time required for 87.5%? 87.5%. If you are asked to calculate like that, what you have to do is, first you write 100, this changes to 50 in the time 24 minutes. 24 minutes. From 50 to 25, it again takes same time, that is 24 minutes. From 25 to 12.5, again it takes 24 minutes. So the total change is 50 plus 25 plus 12.5, that is nothing but equal to 87.5%. Out of 100 units of the concentration, the reacted value is actually 87.5%. So this time required for 87.5% is equal to 3 times the T half. 3 times the T half. So for every half change of the concentration, the time required, that is half-life period, is always a constant for a first order reaction. So let's stop at this junction. We shall continue the graphical representation and some numericals in the next class. Thank you.